Commander Cullen Soar of the Asterisk. Impossible. Survivors Asterisk experienced a nervous clicking of Fall's mandibles as the Union scout vessel neared Vortex 7's chaotic atmosphere. His neural interface displayed a cascade of alerts: severe gravitational anomalies, a poisonous atmosphere, radiation levels capable of dissolving organic material, and temperature shifts potentially able to melt starship hulls. The seasoned explorer's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, struggling to accept the data. "Confirm these scan results," he commanded, his four-fingered hand clutching the command console. "This is highly improbable." His second-in-command, Science Officer Trev, re-verified the readings. "Confirmed, Commander, the anomaly remains. We're detecting definite life signs below, hundreds of them, persisting for over 3,000 cycles." The Galactic Union had for 3 millennia used a planetary classification system. Classes 1 through 5 were ideal worlds, habitable for most oxygen-breathing life forms. Classes 6 through 10 needed environmental adjustments, but were still colonizable. Class 11 and 12 planets were limited to resource extraction, considered too hazardous for permanent habitation. Class 13 worlds were deemed death sentences, planets so inimical to life that even automated mining drones failed within hours. No known sentient species could endure such conditions. Yet there they were in orbit around Vortex 7, the most infamous Class 13 planet in the Orion Spur, observing clear indications of a flourishing settlement. "Survivors of a crash, perhaps?" suggested Security Chief Mock, her battle-worn carapace shifting with unease. "Impossible," Trev refuted. "Satellite imagery indicates the settlement has been active for at least 3 standard years. No species could survive that long here, even after an accidental landing." Commander Colin made his decision. "Prepare the heavy-grade environmental suits and the reinforced shuttle. I want a full diplomatic and scientific team ready to descend in 30 minutes." As the ship initiated pre-landing procedures, Colleen examined the limited data available on the enigmatic inhabitants. The Union database identified them as humans, a relatively recent spacefaring species that had joined interstellar society a mere century ago. Their homeworld was unremarkable, a Class 4 planet with moderate gravity and a mild climate. Nothing in their physiology indicated an ability to withstand conditions lethal to even the most resilient species in the known galaxy. "Perhaps they've engineered some remarkable environmental technology," Trev proposed, adjusting his protective gear. "Advanced force fields or atmospheric regulators." 6 hours later, as their shuttle navigated the lower atmosphere amidst turbulence that threatened to tear the reinforced craft apart, Commander Kylin understood how mistaken they had been. The human settlement became visible as they descended through swirling clouds of corrosive gas. It was not a cowering, desperate outpost as Colin had envisioned. The extensive complex included numerous structures: agricultural domes, mining facilities, and what seemed to be recreational areas. Most astonishingly, humans moved about outside with minimal protective gear, many wearing only reinforced work clothes and breathing masks. "By the void," whispered Mock as they landed on a landing pad. "They're not merely surviving here, they're prospering." A reception committee awaited them, 5 humans standing calmly despite the fierce winds carrying particles that should have flayed their skin. Their leader approached as Colin's team disembarked in their cumbersome environmental suits. "Welcome to Vortex 7, the human greeted them through her simple mask. "I'm Captain Alina Rice, Settlement Administrator. I trust you had a pleasant descent? The atmosphere has been particularly temperamental lately." Colin's translator struggled to reconcile her casual tone, as if she were welcoming guests to a pleasant resort rather than a planetary inferno. "Commander Colin Thorell of the Galactic Union," he replied, his voice altered by the suit's external speakers. "We discovered your settlement during our survey. Your presence here is unexpected." Captain Rice emitted a laugh, a sound utterly incongruous with their environment. "Yes, we hear that frequently. Come inside where we can converse more comfortably. I should caution you, though, that we maintain interior conditions suitable for us, which might be somewhat intense for your systems." The comfortable conditions inside the main complex almost overwhelmed Colin's suit sensors. Gravity was intentionally set at 1.8 times standard, crushing for most species but apparently optimal for human physical conditioning. The temperature oscillated between extremes lethal to most sentient beings and trace amounts of gases deadly to most carbon-based life forms circulated freely. "Please excuse our living arrangements," Rice explained, removing her mask to reveal a scarred face with sharp eyes. "We've adapted ourselves to flourish in conditions that challenge our physical capabilities. It makes us more robust when we return to standard environments." "This is intentional?" Trev inquired, his scientific curiosity overriding his astonishment. "You choose to inhabit these conditions?" "Of course," another human interjected. He was a large specimen with artificial limb enhancements. Vortex 7 possesses the densest concentration of quantum-stabilized heavy elements in the sector, ideal for our advanced propulsion research. Additionally, the gravitational anomalies provide excellent physical conditioning. Commander Collins' mind reeled. The Union classified this as a Class 13 planet, uninhabitable, lethal to all known life forms. Captain Rice smiled. "With respect, Commander, your classification system was not conceived with humans in mind. What you deem uninhabitable, we consider challenging. What you perceive as lethal conditions, we view as opportunities for adaptation." Over the subsequent hours, the alien delegation toured the settlement in a state of mounting disbelief. Humans had not only adapted to survive on Vortex 7, they had transformed portions of it. They had established recreational areas where they deliberately exposed themselves to conditions that would kill other species instantly. They had even brought children to this world who played gleefully in environmental conditions that Collins' species would consider weaponry. Most unsettling of all, the humans seemed genuinely perplexed by the visitors' astonishment. "You mean you donned have extreme environment colonies?" inquired a human engineer named Ishan, who was casually repairing equipment in an area experiencing regular radiation spikes. "We've established settlements on 17 Class 13 worlds so far. They're ideal for certain industries and research endeavors." 17? Mock echoed, her security training activating alarm protocols. "Your species intentionally seeks out the most perilous planets in the galaxy?" "Well, yes," Ishan replied with a shrug. "Less competition for resources and the extreme conditions foster innovation. Plus, the views are often breathtaking." He gestured toward a massive window displaying a landscape of crystalline formations under bombardment by electrical storms. "You won't encounter that kind of splendor on a Class 4 world." That evening, as the Union team convened in their quarantine chamber to analyze their findings, the implications became evident. Humans weren't simply another spacefaring species, they were something entirely unprecedented. "Their entire physiological approach contradicts our understanding," Trev reported, reviewing medical data provided by the settlement. "They don't attempt to shield themselves from hostile environments. They deliberately expose themselves to progressively harsher conditions to stimulate biological adaptations. Their bodies literally re-engineer themselves at the cellular level. And their technology," added the engineering specialist, "isn't designed to protect them from environmental hazards but to enable them to interact with them more directly. These aren't survival tools, they're engagement tools." Commander Collin gazed at the settlement schematics, a chilling realization settling in his core. The Union has always presumed that Class 13 planets were barriers, natural boundaries that would limit expansion and preserve certain regions of space as uninhabitable. If humans can not only survive but establish permanent colonies on these worlds, Mock concluded grimly, then there are no barriers for them. No environment too hostile, no world beyond their grasp. As night descended on Vortex 7, bringing storms that shook even their reinforced shuttle, Commander Collin observed the humans through the observation windows. They had assembled in an outdoor recreational area, deliberately exposing themselves to the planet's fury while participating in some sort of athletic contest that appeared to involve capturing energy discharges from the atmosphere. They were actually laughing, as conditions that would kill any other known species raged around them. "We must report this to Union Command immediately," Collin declared. Everything we believed we understood about the natural limitations of organic life forms requires reevaluation. As if sensing his gaze, Captain Rice looked up from the game and waved cheerfully to the observers, shouting something that his translator rendered as, "Care to join us? The lightning's particularly invigorating tonight." Kalen's mandibles clicked in disbelief. The humans weren't mere survivors on this infernal world. They were its conquerors. The dawn on Vortex 7 was not a gentle easing into light, as most species preferred. It was a brutal eruption, as the planet's twin suns breached the horizon simultaneously, unleashing shockwaves of radiation and heat that would sterilize standard environmental suits. Commander Kalen Soral watched from the relative safety of the reinforced observation deck, as humans greeted this daily cataclysm by gathering on viewing platforms, their faces upturned to absorb energy that should have been instantly lethal. "Morning sunbathing," explained Dr. Myung, the settlement's chief medical officer. "Excellent for promoting cellular regeneration and vitamin synthesis. Many of us find it quite stimulating." Colin's neural processor struggled to classify this behavior. "Your species deliberately exposes itself to conditions that would kill most sentient beings? For pleasure asterisk?" Dr. Myung smiled. "Commander, you're approaching this from the wrong perspective. We don't survive despite the environment. We flourish because of it. Human physiology responds to stress by strengthening itself." The Union delegation's second day on Vortex 7 unveiled even more disconcerting discoveries. The settlement's educational facility, where human children learned amidst conditions that the Union would classify as torture for most species, was particularly alarming. "Our children born on Class 13 worlds develop adaptations from birth," explained the school's director. "Enhanced bone density, more efficient oxygen processing, accelerated neural pathways. By adulthood, they can tolerate conditions that even our most experienced space veterans would find arduous." Science Officer Trev, typically reserved, could not restrain his scientific curiosity. "You're essentially evolving a new subspecies of humans?" "Not precisely," Dr. Myung corrected. "The adaptations are environmentally triggered, but our genetic baselines remain fundamentally human. We simply access a greater portion of our species' adaptive potential." The implication sent tremors of concern through the Union team. While Colin's diplomatic training maintained his outward composure, Security Chief Mock was less restrained during their private briefing. "This isn't merely a scientific anomaly, Commander. It's a strategic revolution," she asserted. "A species that treats Class 13 worlds as training grounds could potentially weaponize environments. We've always considered weapons. They could establish military installations in regions we can't even patrol." Colin's mandibles clicked in contemplation. "We must comprehend their intentions." Captain Rice had invited the Union delegation to observe a scheduled mining operation in one of Vortex 7's most unstable regions. A canyon where gravitational anomalies caused periodic inversions, transforming solid ground into temporary freefall zones. Rather than avoiding these events, the humans had devised a harvesting technique that utilized them, extracting rare minerals during the moments of gravitational flux. "It's a matter of collaborating with the planet, not opposing it," Rice explained as they watched teams of humans in minimal protective gear leap into conditions that defied physical laws. "Most species attempt to impose order on Class 13 environments. We adapt to their chaos instead." The operation was progressing smoothly when disaster struck. A seismic anomaly, massive even by Vortex 7's extreme standards, rippled through the canyon. Warning systems blared as gravitational waves collapsed mining shafts and radiation levels spiked to lethal levels. "Evacuation Protocol R!" Rice shouted, suddenly transforming from a casual guy to a commanding officer. "Jong, escort the Union delegates to Shelter Alpha. Aishan, deploy the stabilizers." Chaos erupted, but not the panicked kind Kalen anticipated. Instead, the humans moved with practiced precision as if they had rehearsed for this precise scenario. Most astonishingly, they weren't retreating from the danger. "They're advancing toward the epicenter," Trev observed incredulously as they were rushed to safety. "Directly into conditions that are beyond our measurement capabilities." Dr. Myung nodded grimly as she secured them in a reinforced bunker. The quantum stabilizer requires manual calibration during events like this. Someone must go in. That's suicidal, Mach protested. It's necessary, Myung corrected. Without stabilization, the reaction could cascade throughout the settlement. Through monitoring systems, they watched in disbelief as humans toiled at the heart of the catastrophe. Their environmental readings indicated conditions that should have instantly vaporized organic matter. Yet the human teams methodically deployed equipment, made calculations, and even exchanged jokes as they worked. 3 agonizing hours later, the crisis was contained. The settlement had sustained damage, but the catastrophic chain reaction had been averted. As the emergency team returned, Colin expected to find them devastated, traumatized by their near-death experience. Instead, they were celebrating. New record for extreme condition deployment, Ishan announced, his radiation badges blackened from exposure but his spirit undiminished. The data we collected will enhance our containment systems tenfold. Captain Rice, her face streaked with chemical burns that were already being treated by medical nanites, noticed Colin's stunned expression. You're wondering why we're not more affected by what just transpired. It was not a question, but Colin nodded anyway. This is why we choose to inhabit places like Vortex 7, she explained, her voice softening. Not merely for resources or scientific discovery, but because crisis reveals truth. On worlds where every moment could be your last, you discover what truly matters. You learn to solve problems that seem insurmountable because the alternative is unthinkable. That evening, as the human settlement repaired itself with remarkable speed, the Union delegation convened for a final assessment before departure. Their approach defies every tenet of our xenological understanding, Trev concluded. They don't seek to minimize risk or maximize comfort. They deliberately choose environments that challenge them to their utmost limits. The strategic implications are profound, Mach added. A species that flourishes in Class 13 environments could establish a presence in regions we've always considered natural barriers. The entire Union defense doctrine presumes that certain areas of space are inherently uninhabitable. Colin absorbed their reports in silence, his 4 hearts troubled. The humans of Vortex 7 had demonstrated extraordinary capabilities, yes, but also unexpected wisdom. During the crisis, they had prioritized not only their own survival, but the safety of their Union guests, deploying valuable resources to ensure the delegation's well-being. We must recommend a response to Union Command, he finally stated. Our options are limited. Containment is unfeasible. They are already established on 17 Class 13 worlds, possibly more. Confrontation would be ill-advised. They're not conquerors in the traditional sense, Trev observed. They don't seek to displace others or claim territories already inhabited. They pioneer frontiers others cannot reach. A decision solidified in Colin's mind. We recommend partnership. These humans have mastered environments we've always shunned. Together, we could expand the habitable universe. The following morning, as the Union shuttle prepared for departure, Captain Rice presented Commander Colin with a small container. Mineral samples from yesterday's event, she explained. Analysis indicates properties that might revolutionize your shielding technology. Consider it an initial exchange between friends. Kalin accepted the gift with formal gratitude, then hesitated before posing the question that had preoccupied him throughout the night. Captain Rice, what does your species hope to achieve by colonizing worlds that endeavor to extinguish you daily? Alina Rice gazed out at the hostile magnificence of Vortex 7, her expression pensive. We don't merely adapt to survive, Commander. We adapt to comprehend. Every impossible environment imparts a new understanding of ourselves. She turned back to him, her eyes reflecting the fierce luminosity of the twin suns. The universe isn't divided into habitable and uninhabitable worlds. It's replete with environments awaiting species capable of embracing them. As the Union ship broke atmosphere, leaving the impossible human settlement behind, Commander Colin found himself fundamentally altered. The galaxy he had known, neatly categorized into zones of habitability with distinct boundaries, no longer existed. A species had emerged that did not acknowledge those limitations, that transformed hostile into home, with nothing but resolve and ingenuity. For 3,000 cycles, the Galactic Union had feared Class 13 planets as death worlds. Now they would need to recognize them for what humans had proven them to be: frontiers of possibility. In his final report to Union Command, Kalin penned words that would reshape galactic understanding for generations. We have discovered that the universe is not constrained by the limitations we impose upon it. Humanity doesn't merely survive the impossible, they transform it into opportunity. They don't fear what we fear. They don't stop where we stop. And, most importantly, they don't merely endure hostile environments. They transform them into playgrounds.